Alright guys, welcome to your 8th hand sewing tutorial. Today we are going to learn how to do a catch stitch. This one is probably a little bit more complicated than even some of the ones that we've done before. So I kind of created a little bit of a visual for you so that you can see, what this might look like. Okay, so I've kind of numbered your steps here to kind of make it a little bit easier. So we start with 1, so that's where your stitch is going, or your needle is going to go into the fabric first. Then you're going to go to 2 up above where the fabric is, because your fabric, when you start to sew, is going to look like this. If you have pins, great, use pins. Remember, if not, you can use whatever you have on hand. So bobby pins, pin caps, it doesn't really matter. Whatever holds it kind of into place together. Okay, so we have our first stitch up to 2, which is above where that fabric edge is from the fold. Then we have 2 to 3, then 3 is going to go back down over to 4, and then 4 is going to go over to 5. So we're doing a lot of 1 step forward, 1 step back, 1 giant step forward, 1 baby step back, big step forward, little step back, big step forward, little step back. So whenever we're going forward and diagonal, we're going to make a pretty big stitch, but whenever we're going back and straight back, we are going to make a really tiny stitch. So this is what this one is going to look like. Okay, so I'm going to start by putting my needle through just 1 layer of fabric, but on the back side. Okay, so I'm at the start. So now I need to go up and create a stitch kind of at the top of my fabric. Okay, and this one you don't want to pull too tight. So this would be used for hemming up something that has a stretchy fabric. So if the hem on your t-shirt were to come undone, this might be a good stitch for you to use. Sorry, I got a little tangled up there. Okay, so notice I'm not pulling too super duper tight. Okay, so now I need to go over to here, okay, but I'm going to go through just this front layer of fabric. So I create my first X. Now I need to go up through, make a little stitch up at the top. Back down to just that first layer. So for each of the, or all of these stitches, you are only going through 1 layer of that fabric. You are not going through both layers together. Okay, so notice on the back how my stitches are not super visible and they're really small, just like with that pick stitch. Okay, that's kind of what we're looking for, and you can kind of see that this would allow for some stretch, but I didn't have enough wherewithal to put some knit fabric in your bin, or in your bag. Okay, so I'm just creating that little stitch up at the top. And the stitch on the bottom. Okay, I'm just going to do a couple more to show you, just because I think you are going to start to be able to get the gist of this stitch, but this one takes a little bit longer and you probably don't want to be watching this video for too terribly long. So I will tie mine off a little bit early. I do want you to finish the entire length of this, just for extra practice. Okay, but once you get back to here, you want to tie off on this little back piece of this fabric. Okay, so I'm going to make my final stitch. And I'm just going to tie it off like I always do. Pick up a stitch, create a loop, send the needle through the loop, and pull. Okay, I'm going to do that 2 more times for 3 times total. Okay, and 1 more. Okay, take a picture of the back and the front of your sample and submit to Google Classroom.